Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something pretty unique today.
Oh, yeah.
A Substack newsletter and podcast called The Liat Show. Ever heard of it?
The Liat Show.
Hmm.
That name rings a bell. I think I saw it mentioned somewhere, but I haven't checked it out yet.
Well, you're in for a treat. The host, Liat Portal, that's Lee, by the way, has this incredible knack for making even the most complex topics feel accessible and engaging.
Okay, now I'm curious. What kinds of topics are we talking about?
Well, she covers everything from history and music to science and entrepreneurship. She even throws in some personal anecdotes and reflections on Israeli culture. It's a real mix, but somehow it all works together seamlessly.
Wow, that's quite the range. So what's the secret sauce? What makes her approach so special?
Well, for starters, she's the daughter of a storyteller and an architect.
Really? That's an interesting combination.
Right, and you can totally see how that unique background influences her work. She's like building these intricate narratives layer by layer with history, music, personal insights. It's like she's creating this intellectual cathedral, pulling you in with each
I
detail.
like that analogy. An intellectual cathedral. It definitely makes you think about the structure and depth of her work.
Exactly. It's not just about throwing out random facts. It's about connecting those ideas in a way that's both compelling and easy to digest.
And she does all this on Substack, right? It seems like that platform is becoming a real hub for writers and thinkers who want to connect directly with their audience and build a community.
Absolutely. And Liat's vision for the Liat Show is actually pretty ambitious. She calls it the compulsory education school of the future.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Yeah.
But after hearing you describe her work, I can kind of see where she's coming from.
Right. There's definitely something special about her approach. To really understand what makes it so effective, we're going to dive into two podcasts where other podcasters actually analyze the Liat Show. Kind of a meta deep dive, if you will.
Ooh, a deep dive into a deep dive.
Ah.
I like it. So which podcasts are we talking about?
Well, the first one is hosted by Mark and Samantha. They were discussing Liat's blog post, One Day, Maybe We'll Meet Again. Have you seen that word?
One day, maybe we'll meet again. I don't think so. Refresh my memory. What's it about?
Well, it starts with Liat mishearing the lyrics to the 30 Seconds to Mars song, The Kill. Instead of bury me, she heard marry me.
Oh, I've totally done that before. Especially with songs from my teenage years. Sometimes you just hear what you want to hear.
Exactly. But with Liat, it turned into this whole fascinating exploration of culture and perception. She realized that her misinterpretation wasn't just a random error, it was actually connected to her Moroccan-Israeli background.
Interesting. How so?
Well, in her culture, men often express these really intense, even conflicting emotions. So hearing break me down followed by marry me actually kind of fit a certain cultural logic.
Wow. That's a pretty profound realization to come from a misheard lyric.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how much our own backgrounds and experiences shape how we interpret the world around us.
Right. And then she takes it a step further and starts reflecting on concert experiences with your dad, which adds this whole layer of nostalgia and makes you think about the music that shaped your own life.
Yeah, it's such a clever way to make it relatable. She's not just talking about her own experience, she's inviting us to consider the role of music in our own lives and how it connects to our personal and cultural backgrounds.
Yeah.
Pretty powerful stuff for a blog post about misheard lyrics.
I know, right? Okay, so ready to move on to the second podcast.
Definitely. Hit me with it.
This one is hosted by Howard and Ellen, and they zeroed in on Liat's post called A Joke's Worth 1,000 Words. Liat actually mentioned in one of her newsletters that Howard and Ellen's analysis was spot on, like they were reading her mind.
Ooh, high praise from the source herself. That definitely piques my curiosity. What's so special about this particular post? What's she doing in this one?
Well, get this. She uses the classic Monty Python Life of Brian scene. You know, the one where they're like, what have the Romans ever done for us?
Oh, yeah. Apart from the sanitation, the medicine, education, wine, public order, irrigation, roads, a fresh water system, and public health, what have the Romans ever done for us? Classic.
Exactly. And she uses that scene to make a really insightful point about how we often overlook valuable contributions.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does she connect that to her own work? She draws a parallel between the life of Brian, seeing the British mandate in Palestine, and her own project, The Liat Show.
Okay, I'm following. So is she saying that the British mandate was actually a good thing?
Not exactly. It's
Yeah.
more nuanced than that. Remember, the whole point of that Monty Python scene is that we tend to dismiss things that seem unconventional or outside the mainstream.
Yeah.
But as the scene so brilliantly illustrates, those overlooked things can sometimes have a huge impact.
Okay, so she's using that scene as like a metaphor for how we should approach her own work. Be open to the possibility that there's more there than meets the eye.
Exactly. And it's a challenge to look beyond the surface and recognize potential where others might not see it, which, let's be honest, is exactly what Liat is doing with the Liat Show. She's building something unique and challenging us to reconsider how we learn and engage with information.
That makes sense. Okay, so I'm starting to see why Lyre was so impressed with Howard and Ellen's analysis. They really got what she was going for with that blog post. But
Yeah.
wait, there was something about George Harrison being connected to all of this, right?
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets even more interesting. So Liat talks about how George Harrison actually funded Life of Brian.
Seriously. As in the Beatle, George Harrison.
Yep, he was a huge Monty Python fan
Hmm.
and believed in their vision so much that he mortgaged some of his properties to make sure the film got made.
Wow, I had no idea. That's a pretty amazing story.
Right. And Liat uses this whole anecdote to highlight the importance of audience support for creative projects. It's like she's saying we can all be George Harrisons in our own way by supporting creators and projects that we believe in.
I love that analogy. And, in today's world where algorithms and big media companies often control what we see and hear, that kind of individual support feels more crucial than ever.
Absolutely. It's like a direct line between the creator and the audience, bypassing all that noise and giving power back to the people who are actually creating the content.
And that message about audience support actually comes up in both of the podcasts we're discussing today. It's almost like a call to action for listeners to become active participants in shaping the cultural landscape.
It's like they're saying, don't just sit back and consume. Be a part of something bigger. Support the creators you believe in and help them amplify their message.
So for someone who's never actually experienced the Liat Show, what's it actually like? What makes her work so different?
Well, one of the things that immediately stands out is her format. She delivers these short, super engaging bursts of information. It's clear she understands that people are busy, and she respects their time.
That's smart. In a world of endless content and information overload, having something that's both insightful and digestible is a major plus.
And it's not just about being short and sweet. Her writing style is also incredibly engaging. She's clear, concise, and she has this knack for breaking down complex topics in a way that makes them both informative and entertaining.
Yeah, she's really good at finding those perfect analogies and examples that just make things click. And she never talks down to her audience. It's like she assumes you're intelligent and curious and just wants to challenge you to think critically about the ideas she's presenting.
Exactly. And that's a big part of what makes the Liat Show so unique. It's not just about passive consumption. It's about sparking curiosity, questioning assumptions, and making connections on your own.
It's like she's creating this space for real intellectual engagement, which, let's be honest, is pretty rare these days.
It is, and that sense of community is completely intentional. She really encourages dialogue and discussion both within her work and with her audience. It's all about building connections and fostering a shared love of learning.
So, going back to that idea of audience support, what do you think would happen if the Liat Show really took off? Like, what if she found her George Harrison, so to speak?
That's a great question. Imagine the Liat Show with the resources and support to reach a wider audience. It could become a real force for positive change, a platform for amplifying diverse voices and fostering meaningful dialogue on a global scale.
Like that compulsory education of the future she talks about, but not forced on anyone. Instead, it's something people actively choose to be a part of because it's so engaging and intellectually stimulating.
Exactly. And that's the real power of projects like the Liat Show. They have the potential to not just educate, but to inspire to connect people and to really change the way we think about the world.
Okay, so for someone listening right now, why should they care about the Liat Show and this whole idea of supporting creators? What's the big takeaway here?
I think on a practical level, supporting creators like Liat means we're ensuring that this kind of work continues to exist. It's like we're investing in a richer, more vibrant cultural landscape.
Yeah, like being a patron of the arts, but for the digital age.
Mm.
But it goes deeper than that. Oh, absolutely. It's also about valuing originality, critical thinking, and the courage to challenge the status quo.
It's like saying, hey, I believe in what you're doing and being part of something bigger than yourself,
Hmm.
which in a world that's increasingly dominated by algorithms and mass-produced content feels more important than ever.
Couldn't agree more. So anyone who's intrigued by what they've heard today, we highly recommend checking out the Liat Show on Substack.
Yeah. You can also find it on all the major podcast platforms. Give it a listen, subscribe, and tell a friend.
You won't regret it.
So we started this whole deep dive talking about Liat's misheard lyric and how it revealed this deeper connection between culture and perception. Seems like such a small thing, but it's such a perfect example of how these unexpected moments can lead to some really profound insights. It's like she's encouraging us to embrace those moments of confusion or curiosity. Dig a little deeper, see where they lead us. You never know what you might discover.
And that's what I love about the Liat Show. It's not just about absorbing information. It's about cultivating a sense of wonder and curiosity about the world around us.
It's about recognizing that we all have stories to tell, perspectives to share, and these unique ways of connecting the dots.
Well said. Liat Portal's The Liat Show is a true gem, a testament to the power of storytelling, intellectual curiosity, and the importance of building community around shared ideas.
Couldn't put it better myself.
So on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
We'll catch you next time.